Hi everybody. I do something a little bit different this time around. Do a review of this obscure board game called Laser Tag. Came out in 1978, released by Milton Bradley. It's been haunting me in my closet for several years now. Took it down a couple of years ago. Just looked at it. Well, laser-based doesn't work, but I'll get to that later. And just recently took it out again. Got to show it to the nephew, and then it's like, well, let's see if you can get the thing to work. So upon going through the usual nonsense with Radio Shack and saying that maybe they'd have to order a replacement bulb from freaking England, well, actually scraped off the corrosion on one of the metal clips. Well, actually got the thing to work again. Several things made this game pretty unique. In this game you had to defeat the dreaded enemy laser, since it's violating the intergalactic peace accord. Oh yeah, the irony. As usual, in order to preserve peace, you gotta blow something up. So basically what you have to do is you gather up all the energy pods from your ship and go in and attack the laser and try to destroy it. Many things made this game unique. One was the laser itself, the main focus of the game, which is kind of like the Death Star from Star Wars, although made out of plastic. Oh no, run, hide, scream, shriek, ah! There's this mechanism that makes the light flash when the laser comes on, just to, oh yeah, kind of like a disco ball. Oh, this is really bringing back memories of the 70s now. The dreaded disco laser of death. Got the nifty looking board, and of course these really cool spaceships. That's what I remember most about this game, rather than how to play it after all these years, was the really nifty pieces. Another thing that made it unique was when I first took this out after all these years and looked at it, it's like, well, where's the dice at? How do you move? Well, just spin the spinner on the laser, shines its path, and whatever's in its path, well, that's who gets to go first. Basically, the player moves their ship around, and they have to collect all the energy pods first before they go in and attack the space station. Every turn they move their ship one space, and then they spin the spinner on the laser. And the laser, once it hits something, you have to move those pieces forward. First the laser draws in stuff, and then when they get too close, well, they're destroyed and they're eliminated from the game. There's also a command at the end of every path that says that each player must move something, whether it's their own energy pod piece, since you can't move them itself, you can only move your spaceship, or you get to move someone else's pod or ship. Oh yeah, that's where it gets to be fun. You'd have up to 4 players on this, so you could form teams and alliances if you want. That way you can plan and plot and carry out all kinds of ulterior motives against the other players and teams. Piss them off to your heart's content. Of course, you might want to remember what goes around comes around, so you might want to use some of your planned actions. Might want to use them sparingly. So, in other words, this combines elements of any of the Star Wars or any of the blow up the big dangerous weapon type of movies like Independence Day and stuff like that. Star Crash, great classic that was. So it combines elements of that and Chinese checkers, although you can't jump pieces, and the board game Sorry. The only thing is this game gets kind of confusing because as you can see from the photos, there's several zones, all colored differently, and it's to read from the instructions here themselves because, okay, and what's just called the black zone, which isn't even labeled on the board. I guess they didn't have it. There wasn't such a thing as a thesaurus back then. Whenever pods or spaceships are hit by the laser, they're pulled forward one space. Then in the damage zone, a spaceship energy pod is hit there. You move it towards the space station. If you got a spaceship that's carrying at least one energy pod or more, you have to remove one pod and place it back on the space at the end of the path in the black zone. So that's rather annoying because you have to go back. Then in the destruction zone, anything's hit there, then that energy pod is removed from the game. Goodbye. Yeah, no, it looks like there's a 4th zone, that yellow circle there, but no, well, like I said, maybe there's no thesauruses back then, so they couldn't think of a nifty name to give it, so they just left that one blank. Also has some other unnecessary information where all players are called space captains, and then in turn each player is called space control. I mean, as adults, why freaking bother with this? But maybe kids who want to be hardcore gamers, just use the exact terms. Oh, you're not space captain, you're now space control. And you're a space case. Who cares? Up yours. So basically, once you get out of your pod as possible, you start plugging up the laser, and after you spin it in whatever area the laser shines on that's plugged up, well, that player wins the game. Yay! I just wonder what happened to this game, because upon looking around the internet for it, I hardly find anything about it at all. There's not even a commercial for it up on YouTube, which I know I saw one because that's what got me interested in this back in the day. The only one I can find showed a bunch of other board games that Milton Bradley did, like Hangman and Stratego and all. I even had to create an account for myself on Wikipedia just to add it to the Milton Bradley game products page. Maybe wonder if there was like a lawsuit or something, like one of those ridiculous things like, oh, the laser light blinded someone and someone sued. Then the game was just quietly buried. But I can't find anything on the internet about it or anything in case that's what happened. So I kind of have my doubts about that. But it's probably much more mundane. I mean, whenever you create a game, it always costs money, and you got to create a molding in order to make all the pieces, and especially with the laser itself. So I assume it just costs too much money, especially with advertising. Now, it probably just didn't really sell that well, although it seems like it should have been. I mean, that was when science fiction was coming back. You know, Star Wars was big. Star Trek was about to hit the big screen for the first time, and Battle Beyond the Stars and all that. So I don't see why this probably just didn't sell that well, really, for some reason or other. And it was just quietly buried. Anyone knows a few details about this, hey, you know, feel free to post. I think these cool pieces alone would have sold it. Anyway, upon playing this again for the first time, probably over 20 years, 25, pretty interesting, different. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. But the only thing I can find online about it is a couple listings for like Chase the Chuck Wagon and all. I'd say if you ever see it at a garage sale somewhere, just pick it up. It probably won't be as many big bucks as it is on eBay and all, especially when you have to throw in shipping. It's a pretty big box and it's fairly weighty, and that always adds up. Might be a little bit problem getting thing to work. It's a little bit temperamental, but it's not totally impossible. Just, I mean, heck, I'm going to list the specifics here. It's a 2.2 volt / 0.25 amp for the light bulb. Or actually, the one we got is, they said the radio stack is okay. 2.33 volt, what? 270 mA related current. What the hell does that mean? Well, anyway, that's what we use instead, and it's working okay so far. 'Cause other than that, well, it's rather hard to see inside the ports in order to spot where the laser is supposedly aiming. Me and the nephew tried out a game of that, and well, that took quite a while. You're squinting inside and shining a flashlight in the chambers trying to find the damn laser, and well, it didn't work out too well. You kind of hurt your back into or neck all the times you're bending down and trying to see inside there. Taped a piece of paper to where the light bulb went and filled it in with a pink highlighter, and well, that was still kind of hard to spot. I guess you could just use a spinner from another game, use it in place of the laser base. Won't be quite the same, but that might still work. So anyway, I'd check this out if you ever run across it somewhere. It's definitely unique. Probably also use break off pieces of a colored crayon or to fill in for any spaceship parts that could be missing. If you ever run across this somewhere, I'm sure that'll work. Just use your imagination. Anyway, thanks for watching, and why not just whip this out and give it a little spin and play again, huh? Oh wait, I need another 1 of 3 players. Hey, is anybody home? No? Well, I could look at these really neat pieces though. Ooh, pretty. You evil Dalek will never destroy us. May the Force live long and prosper.